So we were talking about unusual situations that you've been
Oh,
in.
yes. And I was remembering the couple that came from another part of the United Kingdom. This couple phoned me. The husband phoned me and he asked me to travel to where they lived and undertake the care of his wife. It was her second baby. She'd had a normal birth with her first, and she was about 36 weeks, and it was a breech. And the obstetrician had said that the only way they were having this baby was by caesarean section. All breeches should be born by caesarean section. And would I come and take the case? And I do travel to other parts of the United Kingdom, but there was just no way I could undertake this case. I had a student booked to come and work with me for a week when the woman was due, and I had babies due. And I put him on to Jane, but she was in the same situation. She couldn't travel to where they lived. And I advised him to go to the head of midwifery and explain that they planned to have a normal breech birth, and there must be somebody surely in their part of the world who could undertake a breech birth. And he phoned me back and he said they'd been referred back to the consultant, who was livid, and who had said that he wasn't accustomed to women questioning his decisions and that she was having a caesarean section. And could I reconsider? And there was just no way. And I tried to give what support I could and said to him to try the supervisor of midwives, to try the head of midwifery again, and to try and find a midwife. And he phoned me 2 or 3 times in the week, and I think he also phoned Jane, and she just couldn't go. The student came, and we had a very nice week together, but none of the women gave birth. And then one Friday afternoon, I had a phone call from the husband. She was now about 39 weeks. And he said, he'd looked up where I lived on the map, and he knew it was a holiday area, and they were going to come down and hire a house near where I lived, near here in the West Wittering, and could I undertake the case if they got a holiday house? And the plan was, he said that they'd booked on the night sleeper. They were travelling that night, and they'd be arriving at Chichester on the Saturday morning. And the plan was that they were going to spend the weekend. They would book into a hotel, and they would rent a house, a holiday house. They would go and see the estate agents on the Saturday, and they would rent a house. And so I phoned Andrea, and she arranged to come down and meet them on the Monday and book them. I phoned the hospital, spoke to my supervisor, who said, "Oh, Mary, it's Friday afternoon, why do you do this to me?" She said, "We'll bring her in on Monday and we'll do the paperwork." And so that was fine. The student had been with me for a week. We hadn't had any births, but we'd had a nice time together. And she was leaving on the Sunday. She was living in my spare room. And I thought it would be rather nice to meet them on the Saturday morning, escort them to I think they were going to the Marriott Hotel, escort them to the hotel and get to know them. And they were arriving at Chichester Station at 10:15 on Saturday morning. So at 10:15 Saturday morning, the student and I were at Chichester Station, and off the train drew in from London, and off the train came a man, and he seemed to have a haversack in the front and a haversack in the back, a toddler in one hand and a pushchair in the other hand. And he came off the train and he opened up the pushchair and put it on the platform and turned to escort a very pregnant woman off the train. This was obviously my client. So I went forward and introduced myself. And he'd opened up the pushchair and she leant on the handles. So I said to her, "Are you contracting?" And she said, "Yes, since Euston." So what to do? There was the hospital, but maybe she wasn't in labour. Well, let's go home. let's go to my house, to this house. So I piled the husband, the pushchair and the luggage in the car and the woman, and I said to the student, monitor her contractions. And I drove here. In the meantime, I phoned Andrea and said, get yourself down here, quick. Told her what had happened. Came here, put the husband, put the toddler in front of the telly and put on a video for the toddler, one of my grandchildren's. The husband was looking after his wife. And the student and I went into what had been her bedroom, my spare room, and threw all her stuff out. She was half packed because she was leaving on the Sunday. Threw all her stuff out, made up the bed again, and made up the place to a room where a woman could have a baby in. In the meantime, Andrea had arrived, introduced herself, and started care. And we all went into the spare bedroom where the labour progressed. And she did need a little bit of help, and I had to take over the birth of the baby. But anyway, and I think it was about 12:30, the baby arrived. And the punchline is that both husband and wife are doctors. And I wish I'd been a fly in the wall when his interview with the chief executive of the health authority when he got back to whence he came. Anyway, the baby was born. It was lovely. We made very good friends, and they're still friends, and they still visit us.